clouds but dry weather out there for your afternoon. Not bad. Highs 55 to 57. Tonight, clouds thickening. Some showers moving in after midnight. Lows lower to middle 40s. Wet and cool for Thursday with more showers pushing in. Highs only near 50 with a few lingering showers for Friday as well. Celebrate Christmas and the New Year with All-Star Fireworks in Calhoun, Georgia, with the best selection and lowest prices around. That's All-Star. Exit 312 off I-75, 3 miles west toward Rome on Highway 53. And I'm Swartine 12. She's the meteorologist Patrick 4.
Radio 92.7.
Come see the Chattanooga Zoo transformed into a magical winter wonderland. Visit the animals and watch them open their gifts. Have your picture taken with Santa Claus, play holiday games and make crafts, or just enjoy the beauty of the zoo covered in lights at their annual Holiday Lights event every Friday and Saturday night in December, right up until December 22nd. It's the most wonderful time of year at the Chattanooga Zoo. For ticket pricing and information, go to chatzoo.com.
Welcoming Warren and Griffin here to the advertising team at Nooga Radio. Right now, through the 31st of this month, they will match up to $1,000 any donation or contribution you make to the Fallen 5 Memorial. Now that is being a good community citizen.
The station you hear everywhere. Nooga Radio 92.7.
Good morning, beautiful people here in the city of Chattanooga. Marie Mott Show. Y'all know what it is. We're taking it from the streets to City Hall to the mayor's office. Can't leave out the police department, from the valley low to the mountaintop, give you guys a bird's eye view to what's going on here in the city of Chattanooga. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is a rainy Thursday. It's almost Christmas. Woo! And for an introvert like me, I'm ready for the season to be over because of crowds and everybody out in the street. And I'm ready to go back to people going back to work and not being out in the street crowding all these places that I go to. But it's always good when you get to spend time away from work, away from just hustle and bustle, get to sit down with your family, your friends. And this season should never be about gifts. It should always be about giving. Do not forget about others, whether that is people who are homeless, whether that is people who are hungry and without. Think about others. This should be a time and a season that we are glad to give, but we should be like that always. We are fortunate to be in the wealthiest nation in the world. And so, you know, while some of us may complain, a lot of us have more than enough. A lot of us have more than enough. We might not have everything we want, but I can guarantee you the majority of us have everything that we need. And a spirit of gratefulness is something that we should have in the season, because I assure you, currently right now it's cold outside and it's raining. There's somebody outdoors, and there's a song that we would sing in church. It could have been me outdoors, no food, no clothes. Just another number without a friend. Oh man, coming to a tragic end. Y'all just, so let me not get into my inner Pentecostal, but welcome to the Marie Mott Show. Y'all know what it is. Nooga Radio 92.7 FM. Calling number is always the same, 800-8949. If you want to call and talk to me. And I'm streaming live, Nooga Radio 92.7 FM Facebook page. If you have not liked the page, go on ahead and do that. And don't forget to share. And I'm streaming live on YouTube as well. It's a lot to talk about today, but we're going to start off with rape culture. I've dedicated time every month to covering various topics of rape culture, considering that we've had several instances of rape coming out of, allegations of rape coming out of our various factions of law enforcement, to of course, community stories, and the beautiful, lovely Wes Carr, who has the Victoria Carr Foundation, who had a gala this year about domestic survivors. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, I don't even know your topic today, but I'm sure it's on what's going on in the city. And one thing about the resolution, what's going on, like what I see in other cities that I don't see in Chattanooga, like when you got problems with the police in other cities, you got people from the inner city, people from the hood going to be police officers, people that can go off to be police officers so they can, you know what I'm saying, patrol in neighborhoods that they familiar with. And, versus Chattanooga, which got police officers that don't know anything about anybody in the neighborhood, ain't never came up in the neighborhood, they never grew up in the neighborhood, but they put them in the neighborhoods to patrol the neighborhoods, and then they get so scared and so tense, and they look at every black person, really every black man, like we all the same, like we all killers, we all dogs, we all, you know what I'm saying, everything bad in the book. But all in all, you know, all of us ain't bad. You know, you got some of us that's out here trying to do good in life, but they don't see that because guess what? They ain't from here.
They're not from there.
They ain't from. Yeah, they not from East Lake. They ain't from Allen Park. They not from East Chattanooga. They not from the West Side. They not from none of them neighborhoods. So when you put them in them neighborhoods, that's gonna make them scared. And they gonna sit there and raise eyebrows at everybody. And if you go out to like East Brainerd and stuff like that, you got black police officers patrolling out there in East Brainerd. You know, out there on Gun Barrel, you got black police officers out there on Gun Barrel when they should be in the black neighborhoods to where all that tension wouldn't be like it is because they understand where we come from. You know, you got some bad apples in the tree, but you know, all of them ain't bad. You know, I ain't talking down on the police or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, that's the big problem. Everybody be like, forget the police, F the police, but why don't you go and be a police and change the solution? You know, change the problem.
I appreciate it.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I appreciate your comments. And one of the things that I really want to say on that is it's a little bit bigger than just having African American people or Hispanic people or women join the police force. It also ties into the over militarization of our police force. The fact that they have more jiu-jitsu, close quarter combat training than they do de-escalation, community understanding. They go through a course, but baby, if you don't walk the streets, that's not the same. You can look at PowerPoint presentations and go into a closed office and have conversations with people from different areas. But until you walk these streets, until you build a relationship with individuals, and in particular, one of the things that I saw when I went to the Black Campaign School in Atlanta this summer was one of the city council members from Cincinnati, Ohio was there. And she was actually the first African-American woman that ran for mayor in Cincinnati, Ohio. And one of the things that they did was they started a youth program, basically a junior cop program that started building a relationship with children to police. And it wasn't getting them to talk or anything, but it was really having officers sit down with children to see to get stories from them, to see how they live, to understand the environments that they come from, to find out the fact that they come from fatherless homes, or to find out that they're in gang infested areas and they don't want to be part of gangs, but you don't, in some instances, it's not a lot of choices when you don't have jobs, you don't have resources, of course. And this is across the board. It doesn't matter what community that we're talking about. Crime is crime. And that's why we cannot participate in particular when we see people of color being over sensationalized when it comes to crime. Crime is a breeding ground because of two things: proximity, i.e. segregation, the fact that America is still as segregated as it's ever been. And that fact has not gone away. But the secondary thing is poverty. You could take white communities that are extremely impoverished, Black communities that are extremely impoverished, and see that there's going to be crime. In the Black community, it may be crack. In the white community, it may be meth. You understand? In the Black community, it may be home invasion. In the white community, it may be rape. So each community has its problems, right? There is no color that is just concentrated where, and often Black people are marketed and sold in the media as the sole perpetrators of all crime. But good morning. Make sure you turn your background volume down, please. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Good morning.
Good morning. I tuned in on your Facebook, and I was just I heard y'all talking about it. You know, some things, and I'm a local artist who sings, and I've been trying to push myself out, and I was just wondering if I could share a little bit of my gift on your show.
Absolutely. If you follow me on Facebook, please inbox me, or if not, go to the Nougat Radio 92.7 FM Facebook page and inbox the station, and I will be glad to have anyone that's doing something positive in the community on my show.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Thank you, love.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So we're going to start off today. We're talking about rape culture, and in particular victim blaming. And again, I kind of got a little bit sidetracked because of the callers, but that's perfectly fine. Wes Carr and Keosha Brewster are two very, 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 very lovely, intentional, motivating people who have started initiatives, whether it was Wes Carr, who has the Victoria Carr Foundation, which is dedicated to his mother, who was tragically killed from a domestic violence situation, and Keosha Brewster, who is a survivor of domestic violence, who started a walk this year called the Loud Walk. These two individuals have been very, very outspoken about domestic violence, which is one of the many topics that ties into rape culture. Domestic violence is one. And so I've been intentional in wanting to cover this because, as with most things like rape, there is such a stigma that makes it difficult which is the sad thing, because we're all grown. It makes it difficult for grown people to talk about these things. And you cannot overcome what you do not confront. So there's no way for you to strategize and to figure out how we can start working out these issues, supporting survivors of these atrocities, if we don't first start having conversations. And so in particular, I had an idea, which I know somebody's going to steal this, because everybody's always, these other news stations and outlets are always listening to Nougat Radio 92.7 FM to steal stuff from us, but it's cool. That just means that we're the hottest news station in the city. So I had the opportunity to sit down with a survivor, not only of rape, but a lady who actually had a child by the man that raped her. And so in sitting down with her and her wife and having a beautiful conversation with her and her daughter, we strategized that I was going to give her a corner on every topic that I cover. And she was going to give insight from the lived experience of being a rape survivor of every topic. And in particular, for anyone who listens to any of the topics that I cover, if you want to share your story with her, if you just want to send her some love, some encouragement, she's not going by her real name. We got to protect her identity. So her pen name is Liv Hall. And her email address is peopleforjustice@yahoo.com. But she wrote a beautiful piece when I sent her the topic of victim blaming. And before I get into that, I just want to explain what victim blaming is from a legal standpoint and what does that look like in real conversation. So from a legal standpoint, victim blaming is a devaluing act where the victim of a crime, an accident, or any type of abusive maltreatment is held as wholly or partially responsible for the wrongful conduct committed against them. Victim blaming can appear in the form of negative social reactions from legal, medical, and mental health professionals, as well as from the media and immediate family members and other acquaintances. Traditionally, victim blaming has emerged in racist and sexist forms. The reason for victim blaming can be attributed to the misconceptions about victims, perpetrators, and the nature of violent acts. So y'all know I love dropping statistics. And so we got to look at this because this is important. Rape cases are not being reported. Less than half of all rapes are actually reported, which means so rapists aren't being sent to jail. Check this out. Only 3% of rapists spend even a day in jail. Colleges can be openly hostile to victims. Campus rape rates haven't changed in the last 20 years. They've been consistent. People thinking victims are making it all up. 2 to 8%. 2 to 8% of charges may be false, but students think up to 50% of rape reported are fabricated. Again, one of the reasons why I'm intentional about talking about these issues, such as crime and rape and race, is because we have to change our perceptions. Our perceptions are never based in fact. They're based in opinion. 2 to 8% are actually false, but up to 50% of students believe that reports are fabricated. We got to change how we think about this thing called rape and rape culture. Rapists can seek custody in a majority of U.S. states. Wow. So that means we got to talk about this, because we need to start thinking about how we need to petition our state legislators. Oh, mercy. If they are able, so you tell me, let me keep reading. In 31 states, right? In 31 states, convicted rapists can sue for custody and visitation rights. By the way, one of the reasons why I wanted to give this beautiful woman this corner is because she's gone through just that. Just that. She got raped, had a baby, and has to share custody with a serial rapist who's still raping people. Politicians think women can't get pregnant from rape. 32,000 women get pregnant from rape in the United States each year. 32,000. Oh, man. Y'all see why we have to talk about things like this? So what are some physical examples? And I read this week before last, but I'm going to read it again. Examples of rape culture: victim blaming, trivializing sexual assault, sexual explicit jokes, tolerance of sexual harassment, inflating false rape report statistics, publicly scrutinizing a victim's dress, mental state, motives, and history, gratuitous gendered violence in movies and television, defining manhood as dominant and aggressive, womanhood as submissive and sexually passive, pressuring men to score, pressuring of women not to appear cold and closed off, assuming only promiscuous women get raped, assuming that men don't get raped or only the weak ones do, refusing to take rape accusations seriously, and teaching women to avoid getting raped. So I sent Miss Liv some questions. And so here's what she stated. She is a resident of Chattanooga, has fought the legal system to seek justice for being raped. Even with evidence and statements from her perpetrator's other victims, Liv is currently being forced to raise her child with a white male rapist who walks free. Liv would like to share her story and welcomes other victims to reach out to her for advice, tips to report being sexually assaulted. And so the first question I asked was, what makes it impossible for friends and family to believe rape victims? Her answer was, there is nothing that makes it impossible for friends and family to believe you when you have been sexually assaulted or raped. It is a convenient choice that is made by far too many people. Often the people closest to victims struggle with believing them because that would require taking action against the perpetrator. Fear causes people to look the other way. Acceptance would force male friends and family members to maintain a definition and understanding of what it is and is not acceptable behavior towards women, any woman, and to hold each other accountable. The next question I asked her is, why do we hesitate to believe survivor stories? She answered, some people choose not to believe survivor stories because their illusions of living in a safe world are shattered by the reality of rampant sexual abuse. If we accept the enormity of sexual crimes, we are intrinsically forced to face the fact that we are not safe anywhere. Hesitation provides a loophole. She is such a writer. Hesitation provides a loophole through which people still maintain the belief that they are in control and that rape will not happen to them. In my personal experience, some women who did not want to believe me shrugged it off because the same thing happened to them and they did not want to label it for what it was, rape. So many of these stories hit home for us and force us to face things that have also happened to our own bodies. Y'all not ready for live. And so next question I asked, because I love asking questions. Are men perpetrators infallible? Are men incapable of making mistakes or being wrong? That depends on who you ask. The standards that have been set in place to guide us to believe that boys will be boys, so mistakes made at the hand of a man or boy should be dismissed. This idea largely contributes to the toxic pervasiveness of rape culture. In some elementary schools, girls are sent home if their bras are visible because it disrupts the male's learning environment. This idea also creates a disparaged gender gap. This idea teaches young, impressionable females that they are responsible for their male peers' lack of self-control and discipline. Oh, man. Y'all better stay tuned to the second half of the segment. I got more questions, and then we're going to get into the violent and dark past of Officer Blake Kilpatrick. Y'all stay tuned for the second half of the segment.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Suspect arrested in a deadly Decatur stabbing. The TBI says 41-year-old Randall Burnett is accused of stabbing Michael Joyner to death. Reports say the two men were acquainted before the fatal knife attack. Joyner was found dead by deputies with a single puncture wound. Burnett thrown into the Meigs County Jail on $5 million bond. A Bradley County woman who was convicted in a high-profile deadly DUI crash arrested for DUI again. The BCSO says Tiffany Asaza was charged with DUI and put in jail. She was convicted in a 2010 death of Dustin Ledford, who was killed when she crashed into him while under the influence of both alcohol and meth. And Erlanger put out a warning about phony phone calls. Erlanger officials say someone is calling from a number that appears to be from inside the hospital asking for personal information. The ADC warns you shouldn't respond to questions from a suspicious number. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Hey folks, Jeff Stiles here, talk radio host and infamous technophobe. But I got to tell you, this Facebook Live that Nooga Radio does, it makes sense to me. It really does. Now, we're at 92.7 on the FM dial, but really where you need to go is NoogaRadio.com and just do the streaming audio, 8 to 10 a.m. The first hour is mostly just me just throwing commentary on top of the news. The second hour is me frustrating and irritating you beyond all belief. NoogaRadio.com. Don't miss it. Every weekday.
You want more business. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to spend less on advertising, imaging your business, and general expenses. You need Trade Bank. When you join Trade Bank, you'll get the benefit of free advertising in our monthly magazine, TradeBank.com, emails, and mailouts. Join Trade Bank now and receive your Trade Bank debit card with trade credits to spend any way you want. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call now for a free consultation. 877-2202. That's 877-2202. Trade Bank of Chattanooga.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. This is your sandwich speaking. Yeah, your sandwich. And you know, you can't find me any place but the Mad Philly Sandwich Shop. Mad Philly Sandwich Shop, just off 153 on Shaliford Road. It's in the little plaza. Hey, check out these buns. Yeah, they're Amorosa. All the way from Philly. So bite me. You want a real Philly cheesesteak? Check out my meat. Throw some cheese on it and grilled onions. Oh, yeah. Now that's what I'm talking about. Only at the Mad Philly Sandwich Shop, where you'll always get the real taste of a Philadelphia cheesesteak. Plus hoagies, burgers, sandwiches, salads, fresh cut fries, tater tots, and other stuff. Mad Philly Sandwich Shop, just off 153 on Shaliford Road, right across from Mountain View Service Center. It's in the little plaza. Hey, come on, we're waiting for you here. So just shut up and eat it.
Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need Amco Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. Amco Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that anywhere.
Chattanooga weather. Expect some high clouds but dry weather out there for your afternoon. Not bad. Highs 55 to 57. Tonight, clouds thickening. Some showers moving in after midnight. Lows lower to middle 40s. Wet and cool for Thursday with more showers pushing in. Highs only near 50 with a few lingering showers for Friday as well. Celebrate Christmas and the New Year with All-Star Fireworks in Calhoun, Georgia, with the best selection and lowest prices around. That's All-Star. Exit 312 off 575, 3 miles west toward Rome on Highway 53. And I'm Storm Team 12, she's meteorologist Patrick 4.
The radio 92.7.
Is that all too familiar voice? Marie Mott with Marie Mott Show, talking about race culture, victim blaming today. And I'm thankful that I have a pen pal for you guys. That's right. Someone who has lived through this, who has not only raped, but had a child with a serial rapist. Who she has to share custody with. This is terrible. This is terrible. But this woman is using her voice as a way of fighting back. And I'm appreciative that I had not only had a chance to connect with her, but that she agreed to give, what's going on, Nick? That she agreed to give her insight and her feedback. And so the question before we left off, before the second half of the segment was, are men/perpetrators infallible? And she said, if males are held accountable, it would yet again disrupt their learning environment and incur repercussions. Holding males accountable for their sexual behavior is a threat to the foundation of patriarchy, which is what sexual assault thrives on. My goodness. And so the next question was, in your case of a known serial rapist, why did his family never support you and admit what they already knew/felt about him? Now, I'm pretty sure this was a tough question, but I wanted her to really express how she felt about this. I confronted my perpetrator about raping me in front of his mother. She was silent. A month later, I received a summons being sued for custody and visitation. Allegations of rape were never mentioned by him or his mother in the lawsuit. Though I cannot speak for why they have not supported me holding their son accountable for his criminal sexual behavior against me and other multiple females, I do assume that is because accountability is painful. It is ugly. Their reputations would be stained. His family would be forced to face their shortcomings and make necessary changes to fit in with society. Reparations would be accosted. his mother would be forced to face the fact that her son, her child, is a rapist. I assume his family continues to cover up his crimes because it is an inconvenient, humiliating, costly truth. Live! Woo! How do victims feel when, if you're not believed, you choose to face your perpetrator? Her answer was, choosing to face your perpetrator when you are not believed is a reality most survivors of sexual assault face. There will always be people who choose not to believe you. Often, if you hold those people in high regard, their response to the situation affects how you perceive it, even though it happened to you. When they don't believe you or believe the situation could be a misunderstanding, it tears your self-esteem apart. Choosing to face your perpetrator in a world that is built to reject or dismiss your story is a brave feat taken on by too few people. Seeking the path of justice when the world is against you is worth more than its weight in gold, and is the key to changing rape culture. This has been, and will be a fight. Oh, man. Y'all have to write her. Please write her and show her some love for sharing this intentional and lovely perception of what is happening to so many people. And the last question I asked was, why must we end victim blaming? And what does that look like? Her answer was, we must end victim blaming because in order to change our culture, perpetrators need to be held accountable for their actions. Victim blaming is an assumption that it's the victim's duty to make sure that they are not raped, which often means dress appropriately and don't drink too much. Instead of teaching males at a young age not to touch a female without her consent, that an outfit is not a permission slip, and that instead of seeing it as an opportunity when a female is intoxicated, the right choice is to be a decent human being and take care of her. Ending victim blaming equates to pointing the finger where it belongs and demanding a higher standard of behavior and consequences. This is an important goal to reach because there are still perpetrators walking the streets and often reoffending. Victims often suffer in silence and end up committing suicide. This is unacceptable. We owe a duty to ourselves, our ancestors, and our posterity to end rape culture. That is from Miss Liv Hall, a local Chattanoogan who has fought and faced her perpetrator, who has joined forces with me to give insight from a survivor's perspective on various topics of rape culture. And again, if you would like to show her some love, encourage her, if you would like to share your story with her, if you would like to get some hope, some light, some love, encouragement from her, again, it is peopleforjustice@yahoo.com. That is People for Justice, Miss Liv Hall. And make sure y'all say thank you to Miss Hall for writing a lovely response to victim blaming. Now, it's a lot going on here in the city of Chattanooga. And I found out today that Officer Blake Kilpatrick has been placed on leave with pay. And Sheriff Hammond, I've had people calling you all morning. That's not enough. That's not enough. Blake Kilpatrick must be immediately fired. Hear what I'm saying, because I know you're listening. Your nasty secretary, because she had such a nasty attitude when I spoke to her. She should be fired because she doesn't understand how to talk to people. And sir, if you don't act, then maybe we need to see about what we can do to have you fired or maybe recall your seat. Because it is unacceptable to have any officer still employed after he beat and kicked, punched, put his knee in the chest of an unarmed, handcuffed individual. Now, y'all knew I was going to have to come out swinging. So I started a call to action at about 6 o'clock this morning. I'm grateful to everyone who has shared it so far. The call to action is as follows. Demand Sheriff Hammond be not only a man, but demand that he be a good man and fire Blake Kilpatrick immediately. The number to call is 423-209-7000. This is our second step here. Our second step. We had the charges against Mr. Charles Interstate Tax Tony Jr. dropped, but that's not enough. We're not done. It's not over. We won't accept that low-hanging fruit. Come on. Demand Sheriff Hammond be not only a man, you got balls for a reason, and I'm going to keep kicking you in the balls until you do what's right. Oh, man, y'all don't want me to be real. Be a man and fire this officer and send a clear message that it is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable for any deputy to injure someone who is in handcuffs. Period. Point blank, end of story. We don't need to see nothing else. We don't need to talk about anything else. Again, James Workman, I'm tired of these trolls coming on my videos, coming on other videos. What happened before the video? It's inconsequential. It does not matter. The moment your hands are behind your back, you are unable to defend yourself. And the moment an officer places cuffs on you, they should have first patted you down to make sure you have no weapons or anything that would injure you or would injure them in transport to wherever they're going to process you. So stop being a troll. Get off my post if you're not going to be intelligent and you're not going to be loving about your community. Because I don't think that I wouldn't have the same energy if this happened to a Hispanic person or a white person or a woman. You don't have to agree, homie. But imagine if you were in handcuffs. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Imagine if you were in handcuffs. Would you want an officer putting his knee on you, kicking you, and punching you? And would you want people to insult you by asking you what happened before? No. You will want justice. Would you want that happen to your granny, your daughter, your wife, your niece, your nephew, your church member, your coworkers that you kick it with, your boys, your homies? No. So again, I don't care if you don't agree with me. I will fight for you the same way. Stop it. Stop it. Because you know you wouldn't have that same energy if this was your old granny. Well, what happened? What did that granny do before she got kicked and punched by this officer? You wouldn't want to hear that. You'd be ready to fight somebody. Stop. Y'all need to stop. Stop it. Stop it. And I feel like the only reason people say this foolishness is always if the media if it's an African-American person or a person of color, period, we automatically don't deserve justice. But then you even see, like when they tased this young white man to death, the sheriffs did that back in September. They tased the man to death, and the media painted him like he was crazy. He's a drug addict, and he deserved to be tased to death. No, he didn't. 423-209-7000. Flood the phone lines. And to his secretary, you need to learn how to talk to the public and stop getting an attitude. We wouldn't have to call you if your boss would do his job and fire this officer. And when I say fire, this is what I mean. This is what we mean. No more tax dollars going to him, period. No settlements, no pension, no benefits, no resignation, no suspension salary. So what you're doing is not already effective. But let me get into why this dirty man doesn't deserve to, first of all, even be a police officer. Shout out to Zach Peterson of the Chattanooga Times, a compadre of mine who does the Chattanooga Times has a jewel on their hands. They have a jewel. And if anybody from the Chattanooga Times is listening, one of the best journalists you have working for you is Zach Peterson. Period. Give that man a raise, because I said so. Give him a raise. I would hate for somebody who really values journalism to come snatch him up and give him more pay and give him more freedom. But Zach Peterson did an excellent article that he shared with me last night, that Mr. Kilpatrick has quite a dirty past. December the 3rd, he was under investigation for an arrest in which he punched and kicked a handcuffed suspect that we know as Mr. Charles Toney Jr. But he was previously accused of violent behavior by a girlfriend, according to an order of protection. Wow. Yeah, the same officer. According to an order of protection petition filed in Meigs County Domestic Relations Court on June 6, 2006, Blake Kilpatrick forced his way into his girlfriend's home, threatened to hurt everyone there, and hit her when he tried to punch another man. Law enforcement was called on Kilpatrick, who had a violent temper and refused to leave, the petition states. Last night was even worse, to where I'm scared of him. Sylvana Johnson, who was 17 at the time, wrote of her on-again, off-again fiance of 3 years, who was then a deputy of Meigs County Sheriff's Office. So how in the devil did he, is he having orders of protection placed against him? He's a police officer, a young police officer at this time. I was just now graduating from high school in 2006. So obviously he's a young deputy, and he's already worked for another sheriff's office. But 2 days later, Sylvana Johnson dropped her petition, court records show, and Kilpatrick was never arrested or charged with the crime. Interesting, because in most situations, such as domestic violence like that, he would have been charged with domestic violence. How is it that this officer never ended up in jail? Interesting. About a month later, the young lady died in a car crash on the stretch of Highway 58 while Kilpatrick was driving. The Tennessee Highway Patrol investigated the crash, a records custodian said Wednesday, but any documentation has since been purged because of the age of the incident. That's interesting. Kilpatrick, now 33, is now being investigated by the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI for his incident against Mr. Toney. Hamilton County Sheriff's Office spokesperson Matt Leah, I guess that's his name, said he could not answer whether the sheriff's office knew about the 2006 petition when Kilpatrick came to the county in 2009. So wait, they're not doing background checks? Because how is a law enforcement office taking on an individual who is showing that they have a violent history already? And they can't say whether or not they knew at the time this had happened. Folks, they said 2006, not 1906. So they're just hiring anybody? Is that what we're doing? This is interesting. But it gets crazier. In 2013, A 2013 lawsuit was later dismissed. Inmate Adam Weninger said Kilpatrick beat him while he was handcuffed in the Hamilton County Jail. The inmate wrote he needed 6 staples to close a head wound. Not to mention, the same officer who is currently implicated in a wrongful death civil suit also accuses Kilpatrick of being involved in the fatal shooting of Christopher Dalton Sexton, who led law enforcement on a cross-county car chase in 2017. And I do believe that man got shot 17 times. David Toulis has talked about this on his show from 1 to 3. The most dangerous thing that police do that usually ends up either in a civilian or even themselves ending in a homicide is just this: police chases, traffic stops. Kilpatrick cannot be reached for any comment at a number listed in court documents. His Chattanooga attorney in the Sexton lawsuit, Jerry Tidwell, declined to comment on the petition. Teresa Johnson, the mother of Miss Johnson, who passed away, the girlfriend, Sylvana Johnson, stated that their relationship was often strained. And they met when she was a freshman and was a senior. Quite interesting that he met somebody who was 17 years old. That's kind of interesting. On one occasion, when Sylvana Johnson got a ride home from another man in 2005, Kilpatrick chased them in his Jeep until they crashed, her mother stated. The Times Free Press tried to obtain records for such an incident, but the Meigs County Sheriff's Office said any reports for 2008 are stored on a special hard drive that could not be immediately assessed. Isn't that funny? All these records disappearing, or they're not accessible to the public all of a sudden. Kilpatrick proposed in April 2006, and Sylvana said yes, her mother said, but soon after, things got worse. In June, Kilpatrick burst into Johnson's home when he learned Sylvana was planning a senior church trip with 2 male classmates. That prompted the order of protection. That July, the family banned him from attending her 18th birthday party. So while y'all talking about Mr. Charles Tony, I didn't know that the Hamilton County Sheriff would be hiring people who would be chasing them in the streets until they crash. I didn't know that they would hire people. Oh man, y'all don't want me to be real. Y'all know what it is, Rewind with the Remont Show. If no one is taking the time today to tell you that they love you, I love you. Nothing you can do about it. 423-209-7000. Call the sheriff.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news. Now.
Suspect arrested in a deadly Decatur stabbing. The TBI says 41-year-old Randall Burnett is accused of stabbing Michael Joyner to death. Reports say the 2 men were acquainted before the fatal knife attack. Joyner was found dead by deputies with a single puncture wound. Burnett thrown into the Meigs County Jail on $5 million bond. A Bradley County woman who was convicted in a high-profile deadly DUI crash arrested for DUI again. The BCSO says Tiffany Asaza was charged with DUI and put in jail. She was convicted in a 2010 death of Dustin Ledford, who was killed when she crashed into him while under the influence of both alcohol and meth. And Erlanger put out a warning about phony phone calls. Erlanger officials say someone is calling from a number that appears to be from inside the hospital asking for personal information. The FCC warns you shouldn't respond to questions from a suspicious number. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM. Nooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4. News Talk Nooga Radio.
If you could wish for anything this Christmas, what would you wish for? Well, a Soddy Daisy family wished that 25